Hi Cancers, this is the first week of the first Mercury retrograde of 2022. It's going to be in Aquarius and it is running from January 14 until February 4. It is a time when our thoughts, speech and communication is going to perhaps not get unsettled per se, but it needs a little bit of extra focus. We need to slow down. We need to focus on the details. We need to make sure that everything is in line before we say yes, before we sign something, before we go off on our trip somewhere. And we're making sure that we are being very thorough and very practical and very patient with ourselves. So this is not a bad time. This can also be a time when we really kind of figure things out and, we start to refresh ourselves and say, actually, that's not really working anymore. Here's the evidence for why it's not working. And I want to change it in this way. And so for you, Cancer, this Mercury retrograde will be in your 8th house. Now, the 8th house is typically misrepresented. It's always seen as a bit spooky. It's kind of the occult house, the magic house. But it's also the house of endings and beginnings and transformations. It's the house of power. So you might find yourself kind of wondering, when is this going to end, or I'm getting confused about my new beginning in some way. You might have a new situation in your life that you're feeling a little bit confused about throughout Mercury retrograde, and it's really because you're wanting to kind of sit with yourself and get clear about it so that you can find your inner power. Don't forget that we are also still in Venus retrograde, so there are lots of lessons about self-worth coming up. So if you find yourself this week saying like, I just don't know how to start this thing, or I just don't know where I'm going right now, try and look within and see if it might be linked to your self-worth. Do you believe that you're worthy of this new start? That's a big question to take a look at this week. So we have the 9 of Swords and the 5 of Pentacles. Okay, so some of you are actually really worrying about something. The 9 of Swords is always a card of, kind of sitting up at night thinking like, oh God, what if it goes wrong? And actually, this is a lot to do with your stability, your feelings of being secure. And that can be with money or in a relationship. But some of you are really feeling like you're not so, you're not so stable right now. The ground beneath you is not holding you. For those of you in a relationship, maybe you're not trusting the person that you're with. You don't feel like they can hold you. So this is just saying like, take a step back and get out of your mind a little bit. Do something active. Get out into nature. Just get out of your head, because a lot of this is overthinking. A lot of this is perhaps not coming from, it has its roots in reality, but it's almost like you're kind of building it up and building it up and building it up in your head. And if you just drop some of that, you might see the situation a lot clearer. So let me know if that resonated. Otherwise, you can book readings from the link below, and there is also a link to read blog posts that I've written recently, and subscribe, and I'll see you next week.